So again, welcome to our next session that is going to be following up from the Game Changers Experience, the Global Academy of Mayors Earth. And we're transitioning into the city, the Living City certification. And our development team here consists of another group. Again, I am helping with the development team here, Andy Ferguson, Lev Gordon, and Marina Demchenko. We still have room for many others to join us. So please, if you feel so inspired, then please join us. Again, in Living Cities Earth, we're starting to develop, we don't want to be exclusive. We really want to have this kind of open door. Co-founders, this is why we're here. We're here to work together, not to design our own things in silos. Right. And so, again, I'm your presenter for this session, Ferial Puren, and more about me. So I did do this before, but I'm just going to really quickly run through this just in case somebody's watching only this component, right? So I am the one of the co-managing co-founders of LCE, helping to steward the flow and development of Living Cities Earth, together with the wonderful, talented, beautiful Marina Demchenko, and also, and I'm not lying, she really is all those things. If you get to work with her, you will experience that. I've been saying this since I've started with Living Cities Earth. It's been the place where I found I really truly found my tribe, because it is people who have reached a consciousness level where we don't get stuck on nonsense. We truly deal with ourselves in the mirror and we're able to get on with the job at hand, because the job's pretty big. We don't have time for the nonsense. So thank you, Living Cities Earth and Marina and our wonderful team of segment managers, our advisory board, as well as our wonderful grandmothers, our wisdom council, as we call them. So I was born and raised in apartheid South Africa, in Cape Town to be particular, in 1973. So yes, you can do the calculations and know how old I am, and I don't have gray hair yet. So let's see if that's happening soon. And I do live in Scotland now for the last 20 years. And my heritage is that my family originally come from Java, Indonesia. So that makes for me a really big mixture of African, Eastern, and European. And and hopefully it has really worked in my for my good, in that I am able to kind of approach my work from understanding diversity and the difference in cultures, and which is vital in this kind of complex world we live in. So I'm also on the lighter side. I'm a keen dancer of the Latin dances, and that's me and my partner over there, Adrian. And we met dancing, so the both of us love that very much. And of course, that tells you about my name, which means festival or celebration. So in some parts of the world, it's called Ferial. In other parts, it's Feria. And yes, I am totally about having a party. I feel like life should be a party, right? And dance teaches me that. Life, I very often I'm super busy and I'm really having to do a lot of work, but I'm trying to teach myself to enjoy every part of the journey. Don't get stressed out. Just enjoy the journey. Right. And I'm a mom of two grown-up daughters, Jada 22 and Kiara 20. Jada is a music producer and Kiara is now in her third year of studying marine biology. So I live in a beautiful seaside town in Scotland called Dalgety Bay. And it's because I am most at home when I'm near the sea. And lastly, I'm going to say I truly love my life. And this is people not because it's perfect. Often from the outside, we see a version of someone's life, and my life has certainly not been perfect, but I want to say it is perfectly imperfect. And I'm embracing, and I am embracing that imperfection. And it's the reason that I love this quote: trusting the universe means surrendering to the flow of life and having faith that everything is happening exactly as it should. It means releasing control and letting go of the need to know what's coming next. When we trust the universe, we open ourselves up to the infinite possibilities that life has to offer, and we invite in the magic. So everybody who knows me, I love that. I'm descendant from witches, apparently. Good ones. So the magic and mystery of the unknown. And that is by Bernadette Logue. Thank you, Bernadette. So now let's get into the meat of what we want to talk about today, which is the Living City certification. I mentioned this before, but it's an LCE flagship program. Again, it's about a journey that helps. And I say a journey because we do want this to be interactive. We want it to be experiential because for us, what we've learned is that's the best kind of learning. When you actually feel into, sense into, you feel a part of, right? This program is to help city administrations and their citizens nurture the skills, resilience, and wisdom needed to continually, that's the important one, continually reimagine their lives and their city from an evolving paradigm. And our goals for this program, firstly, is this development and implementation of a certification or standard kind of framework. Now, it's not what you're thinking of. Mostly, you'd be thinking of these tick boxes, right? But it's to establish a robust kind of framework for cities to guide and measure their progress, not their achievements, but their progress towards sustainable and integral development. In other words, it is not a linear thing of, okay, you've now reached it. You're now a living city. No, it's about you committing to a journey of becoming, and you're always becoming. Just like you as an individual, the city, the family, whatever you're a part of is always in the becoming. So it's about building trust and rapport with the cities. So how do we want to do that? We want to introduce a variety of products, free services that we can initially offer to these cities that offer that builds that trust. You know, when somebody does something great for you, what happens? Reciprocity is built into that. You want to respond to that person, and this is we're really taking our human nature and saying, well, actually, we just really want to go out and do something good for the cities, and we know that's our heart. So it's not like we're lying. We're putting that out there, but at the same time, we know that cities have budgets and money and all kinds of things that they can allocate to this if we're willing to build that kind of initial relationships with them. And many of our co-founders already have some of these relationships, which we will hopefully also leverage. So the next one is that we want to provide a comprehensive, integral development solution. So we don't want to be looking at bringing anything in its silo to these cities. The idea and why I've stressed in my previous presentation as well as this one that it really is about, my apologies, about creating that comprehensive, always looking at how the complexity feeds into, because it is about, there's this little saying that you pull at anything in nature and it is attached to something else, which means our solutions have to kind of be like that as well. So we've got to think about how we're designing that. And this is really important for us. And then next, we offer kind of vetted practices for city transformation. So we have a wonderful team working in our practice segment, and they're starting to develop this kind of, how do we vet? We don't just want to put junk out there. And of course, we're not saying the co-founders are creating junk, but it's so important that we have a standard of what we're putting out there, because Living Cities is a brand and we want to bring excellence to the table. So even if your product, so don't be afraid. If your product is not up to the standard, we're going to help to get it there. So what's important is that you begin to talk to us. So together we create that excellence and establish a self-sustaining revenue stream. Of course, as I mentioned before, cities have money for this. So at the moment, for Living Cities Earth to be able to provide what we really want to 10,000 cities, we're talking about 10,000 cities and lots of programs and lots of people, plus 8 billion plus human beings, right? So for this to happen, we need to have a sustainable stream of income, because this sustainability also ensures the enduring presence, reliability, and trustworthiness of the Living Cities Earth brand. Because we want this to outlive us, right? And it's not just about building something for today. It's about building something that is lasting into the future. So the format that we're presenting this particular program in is as a consultancy program that unfolds over a span of 12 months. So it's divided into two distinct phases. the initial phase, which we're saying is 6 months, but with every city, it's going to be different. It's about dedicating, kind of having this dedicated, intensive collaboration with the city administrators, public services organizations, third sector organizations, businesses, and citizens. And whilst we are saying it's a 12-month process, we aim for that. But earlier, Marilyn Hamilton was describing her mesh scan and the follow-up of programs and solutions that come from there. And it can span over years. So it really depends on what the city wants from us. But essentially, the kind of initial program is 12 months. And this part of the journey, that first part, will also include aspects of coaching, experiential learning, education programs, diplomatic dialogue and racial healing facilitation. There's going to be net zero infrastructure development, which we're really doing well with at the moment. And also then that next level, which I will say the next 6 months, is where we start to take a role as observers and advisors, assisting and resourcing their team to implement their integral approach, that unique approach for what's taking place in their city, what's shaping up as their integral development for their city. So our target audiences, I'm going to say firstly are mayors associations, actually not the mayors, because if we can connect with mayors associations who already have the relationships with perhaps hundreds or thousands of mayors, it just makes the job so much easier. So again, I know there are a few of our esteemed co-founders who are already part of mayors or run mayors associations. So if you're listening to me, I'd really love you to get in contact with us. And the second part is, of course, the city administrations themselves. We could also do that directly, which is currently our approach. And then let's look at the ideal outcomes and measurement tools that we're putting in place for the program. I'm hoping this is going to be a bit better than my previous one. So it is not. Okay, so I can't see some of my notes here right now, but if you just give me a sec, I'm going to actually just go. So our first outcome is increased adoption of Living City certification. I know you can't see it right now, but hopefully what I will do is I will upload a different presentation for you that will actually have that, right? So it's that increased, as I said, adoption of the Living City certification, not because we want to be great or grand, but because we understand how we've designed this, that it is for the city to transform into the vision of what they want to experience and live into the future. Right. So the number two, our outcome is an enhanced cross-disciplinary collaboration. And this is because we see that it is about looking at our problems, our challenges from different perspectives, because you often arrive at the nexus of those different perspectives to find solutions where everyone can feel happy and everyone can feel a part of that kind of solution. And we also have at number three, we have a kind of shift in mindset, heart set, and values, as we've shared before. Nothing changes if we don't change those. So this is definitely an outcome for us. And then we have at number four, we have this kind of tangible progress towards the SDGs. And of course, these SDGs, we don't see this as the ultimate. We know that SDGs are not perfect, and that there's, many of our co-founders are working on that enhanced kind of layer of SDGs and development beyond that point. But at this point, it is a standard that many cities are looking towards and using, and therefore it is important that we include that in here. A lot of our work already has it kind of embedded in it. And then the fifth outcome is improved quality of life for all Earth citizens. And this is important because this is not just about humans for some other reason. And I mean, understandably so, we are human-centered. And so much of what we design and what we look at is so human-centered. But I think we're coming to a time of consciousness where we understand we're living alongside billions of other, probably trillions of other beings. If you take microscopic beings, into consideration as well, then we are sharing a world. And so we cannot just design a world just for us. we've got to be at least conscious that this is happening and at least wanting to have those other voices represented as to how we design what we design for the future of ourselves and, of course, of others. Now, how can LCE support this program? I've shared here, and this is important because this is for you, right? Our development team, as I said, is in place, but it's still incomplete as well. And so if you find yourself that this is something that excites you to develop programs like this, then please be in touch. Right, so we need feedback from focus groups of experts who have worked with or are working with city administrations, local governments, and or mayors associations. So the idea is to help us refine this offering again. Two, we need facilitators of what is some of the core program that we're going to be doing and delivering, some of that kind of layout of that coaching of the frame of what we're doing. So this would be really useful, as well as the various different components. We need executive coaches. Many of you have been working on that kind of higher level with organizations, with companies, and we'd like to transfer those skills into working with the city and the city administrators. So we need co-founders who can help us negotiate with a few of the cities for the pilot project that we hope to have as well. We're taking that stance of rolling out to a few cities, pilot project, and then reevaluating and looking at what continues. So it's a continual evolution, really, of what we're offering. So co-founders who can market our program to city administrations. Again, if you're that person, those people, please, we want to speak to you. And lastly, we need relevant modules for our co-founders. And as I said already in this Emergathon, a lot of that has revealed itself. But there might be those who have not yet shared in the Emergathon. And if that's you, we're happy to work with you and even refine your module a lot further. So don't be afraid to come and share what you're working on. Within the provision segment, we're really working a lot on helping projects find their way kind of to realization. The practice segment is more about putting it out there and how to market it and all that, but the provision segment helps with some of that. So, of course, we're also looking for, in this instance, for core development funding, which this program requires in the region of about £500,000. And we're asking, if there are any people who know investors, because this is a program, once rolled out to the cities, will be very lucrative financially, will have a great financial return. And so it's not that we're just looking for a handout, but actually, are you willing to invest in this, right? So I'm going to go through the program overview real quick. So our approach revolves around 5 key stages, each starting with the letter E. And it's because it's for us, it's representing that emergence that we talked about. So, so again, I'm not sure why it's doing this, but it's enrich. We start out with engage. We work our way to evaluate, engineer, educate, and enrich. And let me just share a little bit more with you about what that's about. So the engage part is our journey commences with walking alongside the mayor, viewing their city through their unique perspective, right? There's something about that relationship building for me that is crucial, and we often want to jump that hurdle. We don't want to kind of waste time, but sometimes you got to do exactly that, and we think this is very important. So we lend our ears to their vision for what their city can become. We dream with them, right? Because they are an integral component of the equation, and their personal growth is for us becomes a central focus. Now, why do we do that? Because you can only ever lead others to the extent that you can lead yourself. I think it was Christiane Schuler who shared today about that kind of self-governance. And this is exactly that. So throughout our consultancy, and that's why if for this part, I'm hoping to really talk to Christiane and include that as a module for these mayors, right, and the administration. So throughout our consultancy, there's kind of a dedicated coach as well, or we can call it a guide or a personal advisor that will accompany the mayor on their journey. And so the idea, hopefully, is that we have co-founders and strategic partners that are situated in these cities. So it's personal for them too, right? The more that we can make this personal, the more the decision making we make and how we do what we do is personal, right? And from the heart and with love. So again, if these are your expertise, we're looking for you, right? At number 2, we're going to look at the evaluate stage, where we initiate an investigation and apply a diagnostic health tool designed by Marina Demchenko, as I shared before, called Inner Keys. In this stage, we want to understand the city's current state of development, recognizing their strengths as well as identifying areas in need of improvement. Why do we want to recognize their strengths? Because they can share best practice on how did they arrive at that strength with other cities who are struggling in those areas that they are strong in, right? And then, of course, where they identify areas that need to improve, the idea is to bring solutions to that for them. So Inner Keys uses both quantitative and qualitative metrics to diagnose across these 24 markers I mentioned before. And if you'd like to know more about details of what Inner Keys is and what it can offer, I really would invite you to watch Marina's Emergathon presentation on Inner Keys, because it will help you to see how possibly it could even work for something that you're doing and involved with. And of course, it'll give you insights into what we hope to take to the city. And then 3, we look at engineer. And this is where we employ tools like Marilyn Hamilton's mesh scan to leverage the diagnostic information and insights we've learned from the Inner Keys and work, of course, collaboratively, with the city administration teams to formulate their, and this is important, their unique integral approach. Cookie cutter is not going to cut it. We need to get down to what is the issues here in this context. And this is why this diagnostic and the mesh scan are so important, because we're going to be about what is at hand, not just, all right, let's paint everything with the same brush. It has never worked and it will never work. And it's by time that we actually learn that lesson, right? So it's looking at the unique integral approach and establish objectives and actions to reach those goals by hopefully employing strategies like Andy Ferguson has developed called STARE, which is an approach to project management that includes that evolutionary kind of approach to project development. And again, if you'd like to know more about Marilyn's mesh scan, Andy's STARE process, then watch the Emergathon presentations. Marilyn's is under the mesh scan, but Andy's is explained as part of the SRG Journey project and technology. So please go and have a look at that, because again, these are also, again, tools that you might want to include and weave with your particular technologies you're designing and solutions you're creating. So at number 4, we look at educate. In the background of these processes, we're engaging the mayors and their teams in an evolutionary experiential learning journey. This experience fosters the development of what I call new eyes, new paradigm, new ways of looking at the same problems with which to reimagine their city's potential. And we call it a game changers experience. Now, I've just shared about that in my earlier presentation. So please, if you want to know more about the Game Changers experience, which is a global academy for mayors, then please go and listen to that presentation. Hopefully it will inform you on what we're busy with there. So to know more about all of these programs and many others, I'm going to encourage you, please go watch the Emergathon presentations explaining in greater detail all of this Global Academy of Mayors, the Earth, you kind of, there's so many of them in there, and you will do yourself a favor if you go and listen, because it will only enrich your work further. And the last happens to be enrich. During this stage, we take a much more hands-off approach, where we help the people of a specific city employ their innate wisdom. We're not gurus. If we've ever thought this, take yourself off that throne, we don't know the answers. We've never been where we're asking them to go, that future. Therefore, and it is not our future, it's the future that is for their city, which means they are the ones who are wise enough, right? So our job is only to woo the wisdom in their city. And as we progress, of course, through this journey with them, we continue to observe, provide guidance, and extend a range of supplementary products and services that are aimed at supporting their efforts to implement their unique integral development strategy. The supplementary products and services we offer are both existing and new services developed by our co-founders and strategic partners. And these, as I mentioned before, they would have gone through a vetting process by our LCE practice segment team responsible for the standards. They are catalogued and mapped according to 24 inner key diagnostic markers, as I explained before, so that we can provide these tailored solutions to specific developmental needs of the city. It's administrations, public services organizations, infrastructure developers, charities, businesses, and individual citizens. This bank of development services will, of course, always be a work in progress, right? Why? Because as we commit to forge innovative partnerships in order so that we can offer the best solutions as they emerge to serve this kind of evolving needs of our civilization. Our civilization is always evolving, which means the solutions we bring have to be evolving, have to also be evolving. And the reasons why we ask for this kind of evolutionary thinking, and we help to shape and nurture that in a city. So I have pretty much come to the end of what I can share, because I've got still a few more slides, but I'm not going to share them. I just added this one over here so that people can go back onto what that is, if you're not in the session right now and you want to listen back later. So I would also share that our program, we offer this kind of synergistic 360-degree comprehensive development elements to the city for their transformation. Again, I'm not going to go through all of them here now, but I'm going to say, maybe you can look back, but this is kind of the path that we take people on, or those who attend the program. And what is the current scope and readiness of our practice? We have convened the team to help develop, and they have managed to create a concept document and an initial flow of the core consultancy process. But we are currently gathering modules that will enhance our offering and seeking our development funding. And we have set a target to launch the project by June 2024. So we're going to hopefully get our Mayor's Academy on the way first before we launch this one, as the Mayor's Academy is an important component of this. So we wanted to kind of already be underway. So yes, that said, I'm not going to take Q&A right now because I'm at the end of my time, and I will, but you're welcome to contact me, and please, meet with me, because if you want to further explore and get involved with this project, we really want to talk to you. As I mentioned before, LCE, we're committed to partnering, to working together. This is not about doing it on our own. There is just no way we're going to reach the people in 10,000 cities on our own. We really have to work together. So the opportunity here is let's do that, right? So super exciting. Thank you for your energy, your time, for listening in, and hopefully it was informative and helps you see some of the development that's taking place in LCE right now. It's super exciting times. Thank you, everyone.